One could ask, like, why is that important? Well, for someone such as myself who uses a wheelchair, it's very easy for me to get my shoes on. But it's also me as a parent, it's very easy for me to get my kids, my 6-year-old and 3-year-old, out the door. So it's been great to be able to have a product that's very identifiable out there in the market, but also have some uniqueness to it, which sets us apart from the rest of the pack.
So, as I understand, like the idea came from a personal struggle because, like, you had this accident in the past that transformed you. So, how you go? What shift of the mindset did you have to go from like, okay, my life is changed a lot, really different emotional things going on into you? How you go from this like side in your life to the side of like, I want to create like a company to give a solution to a problem that I have? What is happening to this period?
Yeah, well, great question. And there's a lot of detail there.
Hello guys, today John is not here. I'm gonna be on my own. We have like a really incredible guest. John, he would wish to be here. He was having a lot of questions, but I'm gonna do the questions for him. So today with us, like is Billy Rice. So he's the owner and the co-founder of the Billy Footwear. He has done a really incredible job with his brand, and today we're gonna discuss with him like where he found the inspiration to create this brand, like challenges that he has found to his way, and all this. So thank you, Billy, for coming.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for the opportunity.
So starting with, do you want to tell like some a little bit about yourself, some information, so people that doesn't know you to get to know you a little bit before we jump into your brand?
Yeah, sure, sure. I grew up in the Seattle area. I live in Seattle still now, Seattle, Washington. And I, I started a shoe company a number of years ago with a dear friend of mine, Mr. Darren Donaldson. The two of us co-founded this thing. And we just kind of started it as a bit of a side hustle, just something to kind of do on the side of our regular jobs. And it really just started taking off. Like people started finding the brand and talking about the brand and having success with the brand. And with that, it really propelled us into this entrepreneurship, project that we never could have imagined. So I'm sure we'll go into detail a little bit more later, but the concept of our brand, it's the name of the company is Billy Footwear. It's a shoe company, as the name implies. But our real secret sauce, the way we differentiate from the rest of the market, is our shoes have zippers inside of them. More specifically, there's a zipper that goes on the outside of the shoe around the toe, where the whole upper of the shoe folds over and you can drop your foot in unobstructed. So one could ask, like, why is that important? Well, for someone such as myself who uses a wheelchair, it's very easy for me to get my shoes on. But it's also me as a parent, it's very easy for me to get my kids, my 6-year-old and 3-year-old, out the door. So it's been great to be able to have a product that's very identifiable out there in the market, but also have some uniqueness to it, which sets us apart from the rest of the pack.
So as I understand, like the idea came from a personal struggle. So instead of like because like you had this accident in the past that transformed you. So how you go? What shift of the mindset did you have to go from like, okay, my life is changed a lot, really different emotional things going on into you? How you go from this like side in your life to the side of like, I want to create like a company to give a solution to a problem that I have? What is happening to this period?
Yeah, well, great question. And there's a lot of detail there, and it doesn't happen overnight. So I broke my neck. I fell out of a three-story window when I was a freshman in college, and my life as I knew it was completely destroyed. I mean, I grew up as a very independent kid, and then all of a sudden, with the spinal cord injury at like right at my neck, like right where my Adam's apple is, it created a situation where I could no longer walk, but I could also no longer move my fingers. I mean, I have arm function, but not like full arm function. I have a little bit of hand function, but I can't pinch and stuff like that to be able to deal with laces and be able to do a lot of other things. So when my injury first happened, this was in October of 1996. It was a while ago. I did not know what the future was going to look like. My mind went to a very dark place. I couldn't really focus on the future, let alone like comprehend what was happening in the now. But there were really a lot of folks that believed in me and saw potential in me really before I saw it myself. And they kind of encouraged me to change the way I was thinking, instead of saying like my life was over, it was more of I'm still alive. I survived this accident. Let's focus on what I still have and see what I can do with it. So with that, I went back to school. I got a college degree. I ended up getting a full-time job after college. Bought myself a condominium. Started driving again. Started skiing again. Really taking back life and trying to, you know, I don't know, fill those gaps that I was feeling, and also wanting to get back and doing the things I used to be able to do. But still, there were a lot of things I still wasn't able to do, and putting on shoes was one of those things that was on that long list of things that I wanted to do but still couldn't do. And being I guess, a mechanical engineer, that's my trade, uh, figuring out like this problem, going like, well, the challenge isn't necessarily the hand dexterity thing. The challenge is actually getting my foot into a shoe. So it's like, well, let's try to change the game on how to enter into a shoe. And then after your foot's in the shoe, figure out a way to be able to have a scenario where someone with limited hand dexterity could pull the shoe on. But also having a product that's not necessarily only for someone like myself, something that has more of like a universal appeal that anybody would potentially gravitate towards the brand as an easy on, easy off. So to really answer your question, I mean, it was like a very much involved process, both for me mentally, but also taking it one step at a time in terms of starting a business. Because I'd never started a business before. Like Darren was the one that really was the entrepreneur at heart. He kind of do that. He kind of knew how to start a business. I was the one that threw an idea into the equation, and then the two of us kind of worked together to move it forward.
Okay, yeah, yeah. So as I understand, like the environment, you were lucky because your environment really like upgraded you, like enforced you to like your life is not over, which is the reality. Your life is not over, whatever is happening. So that's really great to hear. And like you were like the idea in the Billy footwear. You brought the idea, and like the business side came from Darren. So how this like that this partnership happened? Like how you made it work? Darren had the idea, came to you. You had the idea, you went to Darren, you shared your idea, and he said, "Okay, let's do it together." Like how this evolved.
So it happened at a Christmas party in December of 2011. Darren and I, we grew up together. We've known each other all of our lives, but our paths kind of separated a little bit, just as paths do over time. And he invited me over to his house, and as we were catching up, he was telling me a story about how he challenged himself to learn to go out, take a class, and learn how to one design and make shoes. And so through his own little project, he created a shoe design. He'd found agents to factories. He'd been working with the factory to be able to produce his own product. Well, as he was telling me this, I just got really excited about it because one, it was a space I knew nothing about, but two, it just was a challenge I was personally having that I couldn't put my shoes on by myself. It was one of those deals where I was always seeking help to put my shoes on. So when he's telling me this, I threw an idea. It was me throwing an idea at Darren. I'm like, you know what? I love what you're talking about. And is there a way that we could put a zipper in it where it goes around the whole outside and around the toe where it folds over? And me, myself, having a challenge putting my shoes on, I could drop my foot in unobstructed. And I bet I could zip that thing up, and I bet I could take back the independence. And just that quick conversation over a Christmas party, over a beer, it was enough for him to make a prototype. And he made it. He gifted it to me. I tried it on. It worked exactly like we had hoped. And when I tried that on, it's interesting because I broke my neck at 18. I tried that prototype on when I was 36. So for me, it was another half a lifetime later that I was taking back the independence. And the moment was so special. That's when our heads came together, going like, you know what? We've got to get this out there. How do we do that? And that is when we formed the business and started to kind of strategize on how to get the product out there in the market.
Yeah. Really powerful the story, and we have seen like with discussions with other like e-commerce like brand owners, like when the idea is coming from some like personal like trauma, you really give it all to the like to the business because it's like your own kid. You don't start like thinking in first about the money. Yes, everyone wants the money to make money out of the business. That's the like the mission, like most of the businesses. But when like first is coming like from like some pain that you had yourself, especially you that you felt like after all these years putting the shoe back by yourself, having this like moment, I think like going into making it a business and bringing it to the world, I feel like you gave it all. It's like I see you are inside the store right now, so I guess you spend most of your time in your business, right?
I mean, everything you said is actually absolutely spot on. It is like a kid. I mean, it is like our own little baby. And it started, it was birthed in, I mean, after that conversation, we set up shop in my parents' basement. And that's where we had our original shoes deliver, like 4,200 pairs of shoes. And I remember trying on that initial prototype in that basement. And it's wild how that initial prototype, that one pair of shoes, is now turned into over 2.5 million pairs sold around the world. Just wild.
2.5 million. Yeah, it's crazy the numbers. And like, but before we go there, like, I think like you got also the patents on the design, right? You have
We did. So when we first started, it was really important to get some IP protection. And so really before we launched into the mainstream and started making all these announcements about our product, we made sure that we were had some IP protection. So we filed for the oh, what's it called? I mean, it's a patent. It's patent pen or oh, what's it called? Like I can't remember what it's called. Like right before you do the actual patent, provisional. So
uh,
before we entered into the market, we filed a provisional patent, which gave us a year before we filed for the full patent. And we went through that whole process. And it was wild, like doing the patent process, because we found that there were a lot of other designs out there that just never really saw the light of day. I mean, having a zipper in a shoe isn't original, but having the zipper go around the toe like we have it, that is original. So we were able to get patent protection on our short wrap design, which goes down around more like over the top of the toe. And then it was also really important for us to get trademark protection with the brand as well as the word mark. And just because we wanted to be the brand that's known for zipper shoes, so it was important for us to get that type of protection too.
yeah, okay, yeah, it's really important when you have something really unique. Like we had the experience with a jewelry like brand. She is creating something really unique, and she was in this process of like filing for the patent, and she was really worrying like the design that she has created is gonna get stolen. And what I said to her and I advised like, okay, we're gonna run ads to take out your idea, the product. It was going really well. But what you need, you cannot go like a little by little. You have to go fast because like the competition is really huge right now. And you have to, when you see like potential of growth, you go all in on this. You don't go like, let's go slowly. You go fast because like the competition is huge and you should always, when you feel like you have something unique, to go to file the patents. So you have like the great story, like a killer product that you use yourself, you believed in it. So how you go from this? How do you get your first customers? Like what did you have in your mind, either you or your founder?
So when we first started, we did a crowdsourcing campaign. So we did a Kickstarter campaign.
Ah,
We
okay.
did two Kickstarter campaigns. One was actually one before shoes to kind of raise capital to do shoes, and then another one to launch our initial shoes that went out. So we used, well, the crowdsourcing company was called Kickstarter, and it was a great way for us to get the product out there. We were able to leverage our current audience, which is more just friends and family, and then those friends and family then they shared it, and then so that kind of went like a couple levels out. So that was the initial way to get some excitement. We encouraged people to follow like our Facebook page, and the initial, I guess, seed people on through social media were all of our friends. We were friending their friends, and we were friending their friends' friends. So building up our own Facebook channel, and then like inviting them to follow the Billy Footwear Facebook channel, as well as Instagram. And then we started doing just giveaways. We had product, but we didn't have money. But we had products, so we would do weekly giveaways. We did weekly giveaways for 2 years. That was another great way to be able to get the name out. But we were also very fortunate in that we got on the shelves of two major retailers. We got on the shelves of Nordstrom, and we got on the shelves of Zappos. So Zappos is an incredibly strong online. They have a huge online presence, and Zappos or excuse me, Nordstrom is a sit and fit, and they were founded in the Pacific Northwest where we are. So it was a really good fit. So when we first started, we were in 5 Nordstrom stores, just kind of in the greater Seattle area, and then Zappos, which ships online, domestic within the United States. So that was a great way to get like not only credibility for the product, but to be able to get the product out to all corners of the United States.
Yeah, yeah. So for people that don't know about Kickstarter, like Kickstarter is a place where you go and you create a campaign and you don't have the product. You just show like the prototype and like the idea behind, and you do like kind of a marketing campaign and you fund before you go to manufacturing. So like, do you remember like how much like those campaigns got funded? Uh, how much did you manage to gather like on these like Kickstarter campaigns?
Right. So Kickstarter, um, it wasn't enough to cover the actual production. The initial Kickstarter campaign we got was $35,000. So $35,000 for at that point it was 4,200 pairs of shoes, and we were very new to the industry, so we didn't really know how much it should cost to manufacture those shoes. And we were connected to a factory that unfortunately kind of took advantage of us a little bit. So we paid way too much money. We paid like $100,000 for those shoes. And this is kind of one of those stories where it was a bit of a disaster because the initial shoes that came in, we got the 4,200 pairs of shoes, but when we first received them, 80% of them were bad. And it was
Yo,
an absolute just financial
disaster.
blow, quality blow, and so that's where we kind of stumbled out of the gates right at the very beginning. But it forced us to find better manufacturing, and with that fail, we were able to reach out to our own network, get connected to the original people, or the that's not what I meant to say. Get connected to people that really knew what they were doing, and those were the ones that produced a product that then got us into Zappos and then got us into Nordstrom. Um, those shoes, it was 10 different SKUs. It was a high top. It was two different high tops. It was a red high top. It was a gray high top. And then there were a bunch of low tops. I can't remember how much we paid for those initially, but it was a very small sampling to be able to at least kind of get the idea out there. Um, and it caught wind. People saw it and they started talking about it. But to your point about manufacturing, you have to pay that stuff on the front end. So you're going into it, you're buying it with the faith that it's going to sell. So we, being a startup, I mean, we were not able to get lending from banks because from the bank's perspective, it's very high risk. So we had to dig into our own pockets, which is why we were working to supply funds for our little side hustle, which we hope we would hit.
Yeah, 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 definitely. So like there is like first like uh actually like in this point like many people quit like in this like failure that you described like from the $100,000 like most of the majority of the shoes were really bad. So this is like a disaster and like most of the people would quit at this point. But you kept going and you find like the right partners to produce the shoes. So that's great. So the idea was like the first like batch of shoes to sell them online, right? It was like what period it was this when it was happening?
This was 2016.
2016. Yeah, it was really early on the in online world. So you talked about like Nordstrom and the Zappos. Did you go to them? Did you pitch them, or like did they saw you from the giveaways that you were doing, all the efforts that you were doing with your brand, or what happened there?
Yeah, so yeah, I when I was telling the story, I kind of goofed on the timeline a little bit. So the disaster, the initial Kickstarter campaign, that was in 2016 when we were in Zappos and Nordstrom. We got on their shelves in August of 2017. So that was the following year. So from the disaster of the initial 4,200 pair, we were able to find better manufacturing, which got us prepared for 2017. When we were doing the giveaways started in 2017 when we
Ah,
were
okay.
then on the shelves at Nordstrom and Zappos because we had the better product. The giveaways was not happening with the garbage product. The giveaways were happening with the good stuff. But your question on how we got into Nordstrom and Zappos, when we were reaching out in our network to find to see if there was a way to find better manufacturing, we got connected to folks that were in the shoe industry and just through our own like friends and family connections. And there was a gentleman that was on our team that just he was a shoe dog ever since he was a teenager, working in the back rooms of Nordstrom, working as a buyer, or not a buyer, but working as a sales rep for so many different brands. He was the one that kind of helped us learn the lingo, and he introduced us to people at Nordstrom and at Zappos. So he ended up being a bit of a door opener for us. It wasn't like he got us into those stores, but he at least gave us the opportunity to broker a meeting to be able to present our case, present our idea, and illustrate what the potential could be if we were able to work with these amazing companies. They could have easily said yes, or they could have easily said no, but instead they said yes, and it's been amazing ever since.
Yeah, so this was like you could say this was like the first like success that you felt the collaboration through Zappos and Nordstrom. Like,
Well, for me personally, the first success I felt was putting on my shoes. So from there, anything else beyond that was going to be gravy. But that aside, that was a huge win. That was a huge win when we got into Nordstrom and got into Zappos, and that because I mean, man, I mean, being in their stores that gives credibility to the brand. It gives us more of like an authority to talk, saying like, "Hey, look," and we're driving traffic to these amazing organizations, and then people would see that like, oh wow, that's cool. Like, oh, we knew we were doing shoes, but you're in Nordstrom, you're on Zappos. That's incredible. So it really got the conversations going in a positive way.
yeah, that's great. So like when because right now like I have seen your store, your online store is like billyfootwear.com. Who wants to go and check the website? Our job is like to see the websites that we work with and then see the ads that they are running. Like how important has been like your online store in the growth of the brand um, so far? Like,
Yeah, so our online store, billyfootwear.com, has been tremendous. And it was one of those things where we had billyfootwear.com when we first launched with Amazon, or excuse me, when we first launched with Nordstrom and Zappos, but we didn't have an e-commerce store. Billyfootwear.com initially was not an e-commerce store. What it was a website to be able to point traffic to our retail partners.
to
So if someone
display the
came to our
products.
exactly to display it, to show the offering, but to really try to drive success to Nordstrom and Zappos because we knew we were in it for the long game. I mean, we needed to make sure that they were going to be successful because if they're successful, they would be rebuying, which means that when we bring in product, you're instantly sending that product out to those entities to get the product out there to the large like customer base, but also it's an immediate injection of cash flow to pay for the product we just made. So it was really important to be able to have that wholesale channel very, very early on. And then in 2018, that's when we that's when we launched. It was the end of 2018. It was December 1st, 2018, that we launched our e-commerce part of BillyFootwear.com. And to tell you the truth, we were terrified of what the ramifications were when we started that e-commerce business because we were scared that having our own .com, it was going to steal business from Zappos and steal business from Nordstrom. And the part that was so exciting to us was it actually increased business to Zappos and Nordstrom because by us launching our own e-commerce store, more eyeballs were seeing the brand. It generated more conversations. So it drove more traffic to our retail partners as well.
Yeah, definitely. Because like 2018, it's like it was still early, like about like social media marketing. You were doing, I guess, like everyone who is like creating his own e-commerce store, the first thing that he's doing, and probably you by your side, you started running like some ads on Facebook, Instagram, and then it was still like the cost. It was really like too different compared to today, which more competition has there is like the cost has been rising in all the platforms, but still it's the number one platforms like you should advertise. But you were early in this like game of like advertising. Did you start immediately like running ads? Because like I see the traffic, for example, and your ads, and you have like, for example, 100,000 visitors, which is a lot for a brand.
So it's so funny. At that point, we were doing posts, but it was still all organic. We didn't actually start doing, I mean, we may have boosted some things a little bit, but actually doing the paid performance marketing, we didn't actually start that until 2021. So it was later on that we started doing it. I mean, we would do collaborations, doing like kind of some cross marketing stuff, working with other like maybe nonprofit organizations to be able to highlight their what they were doing, and then they would reshare our post. But that's still very much on the organic side because again, we didn't necessarily have money; we just had the product, so we weren't doing anything really paid. When we started doing performance marketing in 2021, uh, again, terrified that we'd be driving traffic to our .com and taking away from our retail partners, what we started doing was we would only do paid advertising on non-branded terms. So anything that referenced Billy footwear or Billy shoes or anything that had the name Billy in it, we use that as a negative search term in our Google search because we knew our retail partners. We knew Zappos, we knew Nordstrom, and at that point, we had Kids Foot Locker, we had a couple of others. We knew that they were going to be using the search term Billy footwear to be able to have the shoes show up in the carousel, and we didn't want to take away from that. So we left the branded terms for them, and then
Yes.
but then as we continue to evolve, then we realized that when you start having the margin play, and then you start realizing that the group had kind of been growing and people are going to have preferences of whether they want to go to your store or they want to go to Nordstrom, they want to go to Zappos, they want to go to, an independent store. At that point, we started doing the branded terms as well because we recognize the more traffic that comes to BillyFootwear.com, it's more of a numbers game in terms of conversion rate.
Yeah. And like I guess like early on you were worrying, I guess, about like because you have to commit to some sales with these partners that you have. So you were thinking like, okay, they're gonna delist our products if we don't like meet the goals that we have, the sales that we need to make there. So that was the initial worry. But then you realize like you have like better margins on your store and like you see also that like it's changing the environment. Like more people now they buy directly from your own store, for example, or like from Amazon. Are you like on Amazon as well, or
So we are on Amazon. We kind of have the best of both worlds with Amazon because Amazon owns Zappos. So when we work with
yes?
Zappos and Zappos buys our product, it also gets up on Amazon. So we're on Amazon without working with Amazon. So when you see the product on Amazon, it'll be on the platform, of course, but when you start drilling in, it'll say fulfilled by Zappos.
Oh, okay, okay. That's great. So now, like, coming to 2025, like the last years, like I guess like has totally changed. Maybe wholesale was looking like this, your e-commerce was looking like this. Maybe now the numbers has been balanced. Uh,
Yeah, so the way it is right now, e-commerce on our site, I think last year it made up 45% of our total revenue. And then this year it'll probably be around 50% of our total revenue. We're excited to be able, because we've been able to grow as we have both domestic and international. We have distributors around the world. We have one in Canada, we have one in the Netherlands, one in Germany, one in Australia, and we have like connections in the UK as well. So being able to have extension stores, so not now it's just not billyfootwear.com. For Canada, for example, it's billyfootwear.ca. For in Germany, it's billyfootwear.de. So being able to have more localized e-commerce stores, and then having situations where folks within those areas, if they come to billyfootwear.com, our site recognizes the IP address they're coming from, and then it redirects to their local stores. So for that customer, they're not having to pay the crazy like shipping fee,
shipping fees.
which is just crazy, like to ship outside the country, and then also like the foreign import tax. So being able to have it localized to their country, it just helps the customer tremendously. And of course, naturally, it would boost the conversion rate. So more and more
Yeah.
conversions, more and more audiences, more and more positive conversations.
So like now seeing in the future, like the plan is to go like globally, like to expand from US. Like what is the plan for like Billy Footwear now?
Yeah, that's definitely the plan. The plan is to grow the audiences for sure. I mean, the the lion's share of our business is still domestic in the United States, but it's a big planet, and there's no reason that Europe can't be equal on par in terms of revenue uh, as the traffic that we drive in the United States. Also, like right now, I mean, tariffs is a big conversation. And the US, I mean, a lot of our manufacturing, we manufacture in four different places, one in Colombia, one in Vietnam, but we also have two factories in China. And I know that the relationship between the US and China is kind of getting sorted out, but all the more reason to be able to have a strong footprint outside of the United States so we can have clean or clear or more like unobstructed um, trade lanes between our factories and our foreign partners as well to be able to make sure that there's still goods flowing and it's still driving revenue back to the brand.
Yeah, yeah, like yeah, tariffs is like a big thing right now, and many like brand owners they are waiting to see how it's gonna roll out, because like you like hear one side of the story like one day 100%, the other day 200, let's go back. So it's like a rolling coaster right now. So no one knows like where is exactly is gonna land this like thing. So yeah. Now, like, I want to make like some like last questions, like for the brand. Have you had like any like opportunities? Have you turned down any major opportunities that didn't align with the brand? Because like as you grow, more opportunities are coming. Did you have any this kind of opportunities?
We have for sure. I mean, one thing is we like for example, we get a question just saying like, "Hey, are you going to go into clothing or You have shoes, and then there's so many people that come to the brand because of some sort of medical need. The great thing about the brand is it's not necessarily, it's not like you have to have a medical like thing going on to be able to wear the shoes. I mean, we can satisfy that space, but we're not constrained by it. But a question that we get, and there's lots of people out there that have wanted to come to the brand asking us to have more like very much adaptive apparel, adaptive clothing. And it's one of those things where it's like we want to support other companies out there that are doing just that. So it's better for us to like work together in that type of situation instead of us bringing in um, you know, like various types of projects, which could be more of a distraction for us because we want to specialize on the shoe side. So it's in better interest for everybody if we collaborate on that, like cross marketing type deal, instead of us necessarily taking on like a whole new type of widget that's outside of shoes. So that's one thing. I would say another thing is when we come to like placement in various stores. Like for example, we Target approached us, or like let's use Walmart. Walmart could be another example. So approached us wanting to carry the shoes, and it's just not doable. I mean, it's outside of what we're doing because we want to be we're a premium brand. Like the product is a premium product. Whereas going to a huge type of discount store like Walmart, uh, you run the risk of when you look online, you can see two images side by side, like our silhouette that would be in Walmart and our silhouette that would be in Nordstrom or like billyfootwear.com or, Zappos, which has a lot more stuff in it. And the price point definitely reflects it. Whereas the picture that would be in Walmart, looking at it side by side online, you could think it's the same shoe, but it is absolutely not. So it's one of those deals where to be a premium brand, we just need to be selective of the shoe stores we can be in.
Yeah, definitely. Because like you said, by going to like Walmart, you like is gonna change the whole brand. Like you're going from a premium immediately to like a discount brand. So you have to have an identity and to like to keep it and to not like go like for the short-term profits, going also to Walmart, going everywhere and losing your like identity at the end of the day. So that's really important. One more question, like is like a plan for the brand like to sell to some bigger like group of company? I would say like in my mind when I saw like your brand, I thought like, okay, maybe here the game plan is to sell either to a company like Nike or Adidas or something like this. Is like a plan this or is like something that you have never thought?
Yeah, well, that's a great question. And I get that question a lot, and I answer it this way. We're not building the brand to sell it, but I will say that we are building the brand, and the reason we built the brand, the reason we started this journey in the first place was in the spirit of adding value. Like we want to add value. We know there's so many complications out there. Early on, we remember like the kids on the playground, if they were wearing something different, the other kids would remind them they're wearing something different. So we want to bring something to the market that really is adding value and reversing the narrative of um, just making something inclusive. So the thing is, as we grow this, like our team, we have an incredible team. We have 40 people on the team right now, amazing partners, but there's really only so far that we can take this on our own. For us to really do the brand justice, to really grow it exponentially, like hit the stratosphere, like just, really get out there and be that true household name brand, adding the value that we want to. What we need to do is like, you know, be partnered with some sort of superpower. And it's got to be one of those big brands that you're talking about. So, as I say, we're not building to sell it, but it would be amazing. And we hope that we're able to partner with somebody later on down the road and do these big things that we really aspire to.
Yeah, yeah. This way also like it's nice because like you are still evolved in the process into your brand you don't sell and just leave it, because it's like you have and it's really nice that you have this mission and you want to keep like pursuing this mission. So that's really great. So yeah, thank you very much. Like Billy, I don't know if you want to say anything for like something at the end to the audience that is listening.
Well, I mean, well, first off, Antti, thank you. I mean, this is really cool. I really appreciate your time. I guess the one thing I would say is so much of our success has been through word of mouth, and it's been people having positive experiences and being excited to share on those positive experiences. So our success as a brand, it's been because of the successes of the customers, and it's been exciting for us as well, is because the success of the customers are reaching back out to us, giving suggestions and sharing their experiences, and on those suggestions, it's allowed us to expand the line. Everything that you see in the line, it's based on a suggestion that came from the customer. So, two things there. One, it's an illustration that we're listening to our customer. I mean, we love our customer. Our customers are amazing. But also, it's an encouragement to the customer to keep sharing ideas, keep reaching out, because it helps. It helps us all.
Yeah, that's great. And this way, like the brand evolves, like in the really good way, because like you do it for the customer. So that's great. So thank you very much for your time as well. Who wants to find more? billyfootwear.com. You have also a section where you have been to some other podcasts. So who wants to know the full story of Billy, he can see listen to the other podcasts. So thank you very much again, and we talk to the next podcast again. Bye.
Okay.